What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Havoc Sports Podcast, episode number 44.
Yes, sir. Took a big break because there's not jack diddly squat going on but the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
And if you haven't watched the NBA Finals, all the NBA consists of is you foul somebody and you shoot free throws. So who wants to talk about that? You know, we've seen it, on national television. The rates have just been tremendously dropping during the regular season. I will say that the finals have been popping off, but
yeah, well, the state of Indiana.
Yeah,
I feel like it's coming
basketball.
out, bro.
Yeah, basketball is something else in the state of Indiana. It's not just basketball. So, but we're here to talk about OTAs. It's been a long time coming. I think we're 3 weeks now off.
Yeah.
So we had 3 weeks to gather up some information. A lot of coaching interviews, a lot of player interviews, and got to see the rookies out on, competing with the actual players. Everybody's coming to camp, maybe some drama.
Well, not everybody, but.
Not everybody. You still got rookies out there that hasn't even signed his rookie contract, Shmar Stewart. Yeah, what's going on with that?
That's not just the rookie thing. That's a Bengals thing.
Dude.
That's like meant to be
I
on that
literally
team.
think they don't have money for him to sign him. They're like, yeah, we're going to pick you, but we might not have enough money to sign you, so.
You're not on offense? Oh, we don't.
Yeah,
we don't pay defensive players.
We don't sign those defensive guys.
Did you see the mini camp where Joe Burrow threw into triple coverage and the guy caught it?
Yeah.
That tells you a lot that's wrong. First off, Joe Burrow's throwing that into triple coverage. Secondly, you're putting a lot of faith in that defense,
right,
and they looked awful.
Well, you think about it, the last time they invested in their defense was, noticeably invested in their defense was with, I'm trying to think of who it was, that linebacker that they.
Montez Perfect?
No.
The Antonio Brown guy?
Jesse Bates. Jesse Bates was drafted there.
Yeah, they had Jesse Bates. They had a couple good ones. I'm trying to think of who else they had on defense.
They drafted Trey Hendrickson, obviously, but
yeah, he wasn't bad. Who was the defensive tackle they had for quite a bit? He's not Geno Atkins.
DJ Reader.
Was it Geno Atkins?
I don't know.
He was there a long time ago. He was with Perfect, but that was the last time they.
Yeah, we don't even care about those guys. They were bad back then too.
Yeah.
Good night. They were worse back then. Actually, that was back in the Andy Dalton prime days.
Andy Dalton was a goat, though.
He was. But all right, let's move to the OTAs. There's actually been a lot of chirping noise between the Bears and the Patriots in their OTAs, so there's actually quite a bit of information to cover. I say the most notable thing between our teams, is probably this Stephon Diggs altercation that's been going on.
Around.
Yeah, so
yeah,
we'll go ahead and touch on that a little bit. Stephon Diggs is 30 years old. He's going to do whatever he wants to do. It's to the point where, you sign to a team that was top 5 pick, you're probably just signing for money.
Yeah, you got, whether it was or wasn't a illegal substance on the boat, don't put yourself in that position. First off, whether you're a veteran receiver with not much left to prove or not, just because, again, it's not gonna put that nice shine. It's going to bring a lot of negative to your character even after football, right? That's something you will get remembered as, especially with the Cardi B stuff. I think this team is just, the Patriots are young, and we don't know much about them. And so when you get someone that's a veteran leader and veteran receiver, they're going to be the kind of face of what your team is. And this is... That's showing, you're like, oh, this is the Patriots.
Yeah, 100%. And, like Mike Vrabel said, you got to act like a Patriot on and off the field.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, not doing good representing your organization there too much. And
I like what he's doing at the camps.
Yeah,
and helping out the young receivers.
At camp, he's looking like prime Antonio Brown.
I'm loving that. But off camp, he's also looking like Antonio Brown.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, Antonio Brown ain't going to be out in the public too much longer.
Yeah, he's attempted. Yeah,
attempted murder.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Shout out AB, man. One hit,
dude.
Montez A. Burfict, you should be charged for murder. But yeah, Stephon Diggs getting into some drama off the field is definitely it's been the headline of most of all things, just because people were actually talking about Stephon Diggs getting cut from the Patriots.
Yeah, with
Just
how he was
because,
acting.
yeah,
But I
and
think him and Vrabel had a pretty long talk
yeah, and
and got some stuff sorted
that's
out.
what happens when you bring a real coach in. He settles the situation.
Oh
Never hear about
gosh,
it
if
again.
Mayo was there.
Yeah, yeah. But on the Bears side of things, Caleb Williams was looking pretty progressive from his first year to his second year. From what I've heard and listened to, there's Coach Johnson's doing a very good job of trying to build that offense around Caleb. Every time I watch any film on it and they post any videos, Caleb's throwing on the run. He's out of the pocket. What he's supposed to be doing is playmaking,
Yeah,
and that's what we shied away from last year is, try to keep a pocket passing quarterback.
yeah.
He's not that.
I
He's
feel
not that.
like Justin Fields ran too much, and you guys didn't want that, and you basically your scheme was, okay, Caleb, you can't have any type of rushing yards this year.
No, you
We're
stay
going
in the
complete
pocket and you
opposite.
take a sack. That's
Which
what you
that
do.
was the case, you would have just wanted a guy like Drake May.
Right. And so, but I think we're going to be doing well. It looks like Johnson's, like I said, building around that offense with Caleb Williams, like he said he was going to do. So that's definitely looking good. A little bit of drama on the Bears side. Luther Burden hasn't been showing up to OTAs. He's kind of had an injury at the rookie minicamp. Hasn't really been a participant in the training aspect of, maybe off the field, maybe doing some studies, doing some film watch, trying to get to learn the playbook. Coach Johnson didn't seem too happy about that. So could be a potential thing to
But
look at
that
for.
was one of his issues coming into the draft.
Right.
Was his attitude
Mm-hmm.
issues.
And just because I wanted to get off topic here, but just because it reminds me of him, Luther Burden was kind of projected to be like Debo Samuel. Did you see Debo Samuel the other day?
He was looking big. He was like a Snorlax, bro.
Dude, that dude didn't look like he looked like an XL Snorlax.
I mean, I saw that routes and they had like fire emotes,
I thought that was
like
their newly.
saying his routes were nasty, and I was like, "Is that a fullback?" And then I had to rub my eyes. I saw number one. I said, "I know he used to play halfback, but I think he's going to be playing full-time fullback now."
Yeah, I thought it was their
dadgum.
new. I thought it was the new tackle they just got from the Texans, Laramie Tunzel.
Yeah, he
I thought
got
he was
his
out there
money
running
and
routes.
He checked out.
Yeah, but
Spent that money on Big Macs.
Luther Burden not showing up to OTAs, big deal. As a rookie, he haven't proved anything. He hasn't signed his rookie contract yet, so it's just something to watch.
Think Adunze has a step-up year this year?
I do. I think Odunze will be decent. I haven't really seen anything like on him
Because
though.
last year he had games, which what you want out of your rookies, obviously you would love to have like a Jamar Chase rookie year. But a lot of times you're just looking for those flashes, I feel like. And I feel like there was a couple times where he definitely had his flashes. So
Yeah, he had his flashes, and I was talking to a buddy of mine about it, and you can't forget that Keenan Allen had almost 750 to 800 yards last year.
yeah, that's
you know what
freed
I
up
mean?
now.
Yeah, and that's all for Rome, and Rome had 650. So if you add those yards together, he's gonna have 1,000-yard season.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. I do think Rome Odunze will take a leap here, but like I said, I haven't seen too much on him, and to be honest, Johnson hasn't really said too much on Rome Odunze now that I'm thinking about it. So
Yeah.
we'll see
Yeah,
on
he has
that.
been very quiet.
But let's talk about the Patriots a little bit here. You got
Yeah.
Will Campbell. Looks like he's keeping the dog mentality at practice. Looks like
Yeah.
he's butting heads at practice every time. Kyle Williams has been absolutely astronomical in OTAs.
Yeah. I think the two shining stars for this camp have been Trayvon Henderson. Oh my gosh, we were just talking about that guy. I'm gonna have to pull him up. But Trayvon Henderson and Kyle Williams for sure is looking like a stud. And Efton Chisholm at the slot receiver. That guy is going to be highly underrated in the slot. He seems like he just has the routes, the
Yeah.
routing. He's got it all.
He's like a Puka Nacua. He's not too quick. but
Yeah.
When he's in his route and when he's changing direction, his feet are super quick. You know what I mean? He has the
But-
ability to change direction.
Yeah, I'm loving Kyle Williams. I think if you're a Patriots fan, you're not going to see that Kyle Williams production fully this year. You're going to see some flashes, which is what you want. But I think year 3, that's when you'll see Kyle Williams really start to get into that role as a big-time player.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing is with Kyle Williams, they bring in a deep threat, and it's going to help Drake May a little, stretching out the field. And I think they're going to try to find him the ball just because you guys really, well, now you guys have Diggs, but I feel like you
Outside
guys,
of Diggs, you have nobody.
yeah, but I feel like right now you guys' best option is to run Diggs on those small dump routes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To try to get him out in the field and get some yards after.
I think by the end of the year, Trayvon Henderson's going to be running back 1.
Yeah, I've seen he's looking really
looking,
good. Yeah, his burst of speed. I saw him returning punts too.
He's looking
So that'll be interesting.
Daggum steal of the draft right
Yeah.
now.
I saw him returning punts. That might be scary.
Yeah, I'm
very
not
scary.
putting him back to get killed.
Yeah.
No, that's why we got what was his name? We still got Marcus Jones.
Yeah,
Leave
I
him
do.
back there. He's fine.
Yeah, I agree. But a little bit more on the draft picks. On the Bears side, we had Ozzie Trapilio, left tackle that we drafted, I think, in the 3rd round. Ryan Hippolyte, Ruben Hippolyte, we drafted him in the 5th round. He's looking super good in the special teams. You don't really draft 5th round picks for special teams, but this guy is looking like a guy that could be, who was that guy that was on Slater?
Sean Slater.
Yeah,
Yeah.
who was on? He was a special teams guy for the Patriots.
Yeah.
It could be like one of those things. He was too undersized for a linebacker. They thought about the scouts were
Matthew
thinking
Slater, not Rashawn Slater.
Yeah, Matthew Slater. But they were talking about moving him to safety. I don't think they're going to move him to safety. I think it's personally just a special teams move to have a strong cornerstone on special teams and someone that can, go down and get a tackle on punt or someone that can go down and get a tackle on kickoff. So he's looking really good in that role. Ozzie Trapilio is looking like an absolute demon. He's taking first team reps. Obviously, we're not in pads yet, so we haven't seen his footwork with pads. But, without the pads, he's looking better than Braxton Jones. So it's good to see some competition at left tackle and not just a whole bunch of bums. You know what I mean?
Bums.
we were playing with fire over there. Colson Level, our first round pick. I mean, he's finding the end of the conversation because I don't know where he's at. You know what I mean? I haven't seen anything on him. They said he was recovering from some type of injury from last year.
Now that's a draft pick right there.
Yeah, and so he's kind of been. Johnson said he's been, in the learning the playbook, learning the calls, finding out ways to help the quarterback, finding out ways to read zones, knowing where to sit on zones. So he's trying to find, I guess, that type of information. And
which, if injured, that's the best case scenario you
right.
can get out of a rookie.
But in my personal opinion, I think that also tells me that we just drafted a guy that we knew wasn't going to be ready for the NFL. We got to get him ready for the NFL, sit him down, teach him the NFL ways, and then get him on the field, kind of. You know what I mean? Because me personally, you think he would be out stretching his whatever it's going on, maybe getting some personal training done, going out there, warming up, and all that stuff. But that's all I've seen is just him warming up, and then that's it. There's no routes ran. There's no nothing. I've seen him in pads with, getting those preseason pictures or whatever, just to show off their jerseys or whatever. But I haven't really seen too much on Colson Loveland. But I have seen Johnson appreciating Cole Kmet a lot. So that's kind of exciting to know that we're going to have 2 tight end sets and we're not going to get rid of Cole Kmet either. So
yeah, see, I love the fact that they went and got Williams' weapons. I'm just scared that they got him too many and they want him to spread the ball. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but Williams needs that connection with a main guy who's his guy. And I feel like they tried to force that to be DJ Moore last year and it just wasn't linking up. And it might this year, but with all these weapons, it makes it harder for him to find out who he's most comfortable with having at wide receiver.
Right, and I don't know if it's DJ Moore's fault. You know what I mean? It might have been the playbook. If we're running screens the whole time, then it's not going to, it's not going to benefit DJ Moore at all. He's not going to be able to do much on a screen.
Yeah.
So if we can get DJ Moore the ball on a slant route out in the open field, he's gonna be a lot better. But you got to be able to get DJ Moore open on a slant route. Last year we were just kind of so miscombobulated we didn't even have time to set up anything. So it's going to be very playful and very helpful if we can have an offensive line that will help Caleb Williams be able to develop plays. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean,
I think one thing I do want to talk about the last pick of our draft, Kyle. I'm gonna butcher his name. Kyle Monaghay. He
yeah,
was from a running back from the Rutgers. He did look. He's looking super good. And I want to mention that our running back coach Eric Benamy, I think is his name, or Benamy.
be enemy.
Yeah, he's really working hard with him, and he's also working hard with teaching him the ways. And I really think he could pick up a running back 2 option because Roshan Johnson's very good, but I feel like a Roshan Johnson can find an option in the goal line only situations, 4th-and-1 situations.
I agree.
But Kyle, that Kyle guy, he's able to catch the ball. He's able to, he's got quick bursts. And from what I saw on his stats last year on the Rutgers, I mean, he had one hell of a season.
Yeah, he
know what I
did.
mean? He really did well. So
A lot of these late round picks this year have that,
especially
have
at
that
running backs.
potential,
You know what I mean?
definite potential to make a good run in the NFL.
Yeah, because those running backs, I guarantee you, I haven't really checked into it, but I guarantee you that Kyle has probably had like a season where he got injured and his knee got injured or something like that.
Probably.
Which, if he can recover from that, we're still all right. So I'm just saying, if DeAndre Swift gets hurt, he's getting older. If he gets hurt, and we're wondering who our running back's going to be, I could see Kyle and Roshan Johnson fitting in just perfectly fine because we were supposed to try to pick up on Nick Chubb, but we lost that bet. So our running back 2 is definitely right now Roshan Johnson.
Yeah.
So it's definitely competitive at that running back 2 position.
Yeah.
DJ Moore, we mentioned him. He looks a lot more focused this year. I think he's realizing that the Bears are serious about winning this season. And the Bears, and his window's closing. He's getting to 29 years old, I think now, and so I think he's starting to realize, I got 2-3 more year window that I could play to my best abilities, and then I'm gonna have to be okay with being a wide receiver too. So I think this year he's finally starting to realize that. I hope he gets rid of that bad attitude when he doesn't get the ball. That those gestures that he makes, like
whatever,
throwing his hand off and putting his hand on his
why
helmet.
he's been on losing teams.
Yeah, you know what I mean. His attitude needs to be checked, and I hope that's what Ben Johnson fixes. But they're really right now, I'm excited to get to the pads. I'm excited
Facts.
to see.
Oh my god.
I'm excited to see. There's a lot of people out there that cover our teams, and you get to see one-on-ones with your defensive ends and your left tackles, one-on-ones with Montez Sweat and Ozzie Trapillo, one-on-ones with Keon White and Will Campbell. You know what I mean? You get to see that
I'm
stuff.
ready for it, dude. So it's going to be so much fun this year.
We might be able to get a little bit more information. And like I said, for Will Campbell being your first-round pick, I haven't really seen too much media covering him, but there's not much to cover.
Traylon Anderson. Yeah, a lot of times you're not going to see lineman stuff till we get the pads on.
Yeah.
That's usually when you see them
We'll
shine.
see about Will Campbell. Maybe we'll have a little bit more information on him. And hopefully Colston Loveland, because he hasn't even shown up yet. So both of our first-round picks really haven't been covered too much.
Yeah.
But that's the episode, I think,
episode
for now.
44?
Yeah, 44. Kind of a shorter episode. We're kind of struggling to find what we want to talk about. Like I said,
lack of information.
Yeah,
right now. It's just killing us.
It's OTA time. It's you don't have preseason until another probably 2-3 months. So we're gonna try to figure it out. We don't really
Maybe
know.
Get some fantasy football.
Fantasy
episodes in
football. Yeah, now that we know where everybody's at and stuff, we could do like maybe a dynasty draft.
there. Yeah.
That's what we could do. Like a dynasty draft for this year's rookies or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's actually what we'll probably get into next week is a dynasty draft for this year's rookies, because if you're in a dynasty league, obviously you pick this year's rookies, and that's your whole draft.
That's
so that's what we'll get into next week. We hope you guys enjoyed the content this week. We apologize for the big break, and we hope to be more steady in the next coming weeks. We appreciate it, guys. See ya.
See ya.